On the day when my husband's mistress suffered a hemorrhage during a difficult childbirth, she sent him a message: in this life, we were not meant to be. In the next life, you must come early to marry me. Without a flicker of emotion, my husband put down his phone and chose to tenderly care for me, who was also pregnant. I thought he had already let go of his mistress. Little did I expect that after learning his mistress had truly died in childbirth, he never smiled at me again. Every day, he silently poisoned my food and drink, doubling the supplements to make the fetus in my womb grow larger. Only when the baby became too big for a safe delivery did my husband reveal his true nature, screaming at me, "Tessa must have suffered just like this, right? If you hadn't forced me to marry you, how could Tessa have died so tragically? You owe this to Tessa. I'll make you taste the pain Tessa suffered." In the end, after enduring endless torment, I died in childbirth from severe bleeding. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day Tessa Wu sent that message to her husband, Nox Shin. This time, I chose to let them be, no longer standing in their way. "Darling, after the prenatal checkup, I'll take you to eat your favorite barbecue." A familiar voice rang out. I suddenly opened my eyes in the darkness, meeting Nox Shin's gaze, so tender it seemed to drip with affection, if it wasn't a final surge of consciousness before death. Then I must have been reborn. Nox Shin was driving, with one hand pressing on my Higu acupoint. I get car sick, and he knows it. If I hadn't truly died once before, I would still be lost in Nox Shin's tenderness. At this moment, Nox Shin's phone vibrates. He subtly withdraws his hand, and I catch a glimpse of the message on his screen. Just like in my previous life, the text message is from Tessa Wu. In my previous life, I didn't even ask or pay attention, even though I knew who sent the message. I still felt no sense of crisis. I trusted Nox Shin completely. I concealed the hatred in my heart, forcing a faint smile as I asked, "If it's something urgent, you can go ahead first." I didn't deliberately point it out. 5 years of unspoken understanding was enough for us to know each other's thoughts. Nox Shin's face remained expressionless as he replied calmly, "It's just an insignificant matter. Your business is the most important." Yet after Nox Shin finished speaking, he gripped the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles already turning white. In my previous life, I hadn't noticed these details. Nox Shin was merely pretending not to care. If he didn't truly care, why did Nox Shin torment me day after day in the previous life when he learned that Tessa Wu had died in childbirth? I can never forget how, when I was hemorrhaging during childbirth, Nox Shin's eyes were bloodshot as he choked me with a death grip. His gaze filled with a cruelty I had never seen before. He said, "Margot Ren, I finally waited for this moment. I'm going to make you experience everything Tessa went through. Did you know, I never loved you? You forced me to marry you. If it weren't for you, how could Tessa have married that irresponsible trash? If it weren't for you, Tessa wouldn't have died so tragically. I didn't even get to see her one last time. Margot Ren, go to hell." I had no time to process the shock of it all. Only the unbearable pain. I begged Nox Shin through my tears, pleading with him to save me. Nox Shin's eyes were icy cold, not uttering another word as he watched me bleed out, struggling in agony until death. Nox Shin prevented the doctors from saving me. After my death, Nox Shin didn't even bother to collect my body. Instead, he knelt before Tessa Wu's tombstone. Weeping uncontrollably, he gently caressed Tessa Wu's tombstone, murmuring to himself, "I've avenged you, Tessa. In our next life, I will definitely marry you." I was shocked. All these days, Nox Shin had been waiting for this moment, yet Nox Shin had clearly once said he would only love me in this lifetime. In this new life, I won't involve myself in the tragic love story between these two again. "Darling, what are you thinking about? You're not upset because Tessa Wu contacted me, are you?" Nox Shin suddenly stopped the car, his voice pulling me back to reality, though his eyes were clearly filled with concern. The memory of my tragic death in my past life made me break out in a cold sweat. I forced a faint smile. "Nox Shin, you should go check on Tessa Wu. After all, a life is at stake." I caught the unexpected expression on Nox Shin's face, but I couldn't tell what he was thinking. Was he puzzled by my sudden generosity after being so possessive of him before, or had he been eager to rush to Tessa Wu all along, just waiting for me to say the words? In the end, Nokshin still firmly refused. I don't want to see Nokshin's hypocritical act, it makes my stomach churn. I suggest accompanying him to the hospital to visit Tessa Wu. Only then does Nokshin agree, but I clearly notice him secretly heaving a sigh of relief, his furrowed brows relaxing. To be honest, Nokshin isn't wrong. I did love him deeply back then, but he never refused it either. Initially, Nokshin was just a low-level employee at my father's company. If it weren't for dating and marrying me, he wouldn't have reached his current position. My mother passed away early, leaving my father to play both father and mother roles. Unfortunately, before I got married, my father was also diagnosed with a terminal illness. My father didn't think much of Nokshin, but because I liked him, my father, lying on his sickbed, insisted on hearing Nokshin promise to love and protect me for a lifetime before he could close his eyes in peace. Back then, I thought Nokshin had some genuine feelings for me. Sadly, it wasn't until after my death in my past life that I realized he only wanted to take advantage of my inheritance. His lingering attachment to Tessa Wu was simply because, during the years he loved her most, he had nothing to offer her. After my death, he had everything. But unfortunately, Tessa Wu was no longer there. From beginning to end, I was nothing but a joke. As I was reviewing the events of my past life, the car came to a stop. Nokshin's gaze at me carried a hint of guilt, yet he still gently helped me out. I subtly avoided Nokshin's touch and forced a casual smile. The baby is only 2 months old, how could I be that delicate? For Nokshin, this was the first time I avoided his touch. I used to always cling to him, and even the slightest physical contact would make me happy for a long time. Nokshin froze for a moment but still turned and hurried toward the hospital. His steps were rushed, as if he had forgotten I was following behind. Such eagerness had long betrayed Nokshin's inner concern for Tessa Wu. Clearly, I had already let go, but seeing Nokshin like this still involuntarily stung my heart. By the time I slowly walked over, Tessa Wu was crying in Nokshin's arms. I thought I'd never see you again. Why did you marry someone else? Tessa Wu's pitiful appearance, coupled with her pale complexion, was truly endearing. Even an outsider like me was moved by it. As if Tessa Wu hadn't married someone else, Nokshin pressed his lips tightly together and didn't respond. But his hand still honestly stroked Tessa Wu's back. After learning that Nokshin and I were together, Tessa Wu hastily married someone, half a year ago. That man got into trouble and was imprisoned, yet she became pregnant. During that time, Tessa Wu sent countless messages to Nokshin, pouring out her hardships. Nokshin appeared indifferent, but secretly sent her money behind my back. I never had a clear concept of money to begin with, and I cared even less about every penny Nokshin spent. If it weren't for Nokshin accidentally revealing the truth in my past life, I might still be acting as an ATM for others. The nurse rushed in frantically, bumping me aside. I lost my balance and nearly fell. You must be the pregnant woman's husband, right? Hurry up and sign the surgery consent form. Don't delay her treatment. Nokshin didn't deny the nurse's assumption. Instead, he hastily signed the surgery consent form. I stood at the door, feeling like an outsider. In the previous life, Nokshin refused to sign no matter what was said. Indeed, in Nokshin's heart, Tessa Wu's weight was truly significant. When Tessa Wu was being wheeled away, she passed by Nokshin, reluctantly holding his hand with reddened eyes. Nox, I'm scared, will you stay with me? Just as Nokshin was about to agree, he suddenly caught sight of me, and his words stuck in his throat. I merely curled my lips. Go ahead, after all. It's a human life. With my consent. Nokshin didn't hesitate for even a moment, immediately taking Tessa Wu to the operating room. The ward instantly fell silent, and my thoughts gradually cleared. If Tessa Wu's condition were truly serious, she wouldn't have waited for Nokshin to arrive. I didn't want to expose this kind of trick either. After a long wait, Tessa Wu was finally wheeled out, still clutching Nokshin's hand tightly. The nurse looked on with envy. Your husband is truly wonderful to you. Most men would have run away at such a bloody sight, but your husband didn't even blink. He stayed by your side the entire time. The nurse's voice wasn't loud, but it was enough to reach my ears. Tessa Wu smiled shyly. Although the child wasn't saved, having a man like this by my side is enough. With that, Tessa Wu's gaze turned toward me, her eyes filled with provocation and pride. Indeed, Tessa Wu had every reason to be proud. Although Nox Shun married me, his heart had always belonged to Tessa Wu. I didn't linger any longer and turned to leave. Such a warm and sweet moment should be left to them. Through the glass, I saw Nox Shun watching my retreating figure. His foot seemed to lift slightly, but at Tessa Wu's gentle call, his gaze immediately shifted to her. The two of them returned to the ward together. I stood downstairs, my body shivering from the cold, having forgotten to bring my coat when I got out of the car earlier. Nox Shun, who had always been so attentive to me, didn't notice this small detail this time. When I took a taxi back by myself, looking at the house we had lived in for so many years, every corner bore traces of Nox Shun, and an inexplicable irritation welled up in my heart. The sweetness of the past was still vivid in my mind. Nox Shun cooked for me personally, washed my underwear, and if I casually mentioned what I wanted to eat, even in the middle of the night, he would drive all over the city to find it for me. Yet all of this turned out to be fake. Perhaps the only true words were those Nox Shun said before I died. I called my lawyer to draft the divorce papers and scheduled an abortion. After completing all this, the weight in my heart lifted, and I sat on the sofa all night, numb. That night, Nox Shun did not return. Expected, yet unexpected. I thought Nox Shun would keep up the act a little longer. Fortunately, in this life, Tessa Wu did not die. At 5 in the morning, Nox Shun pushed the door open. Hearing the noise, I slowly turned my head, and for a moment, there was a flicker of surprise in Nox Shun's eyes when our gazes met. "Why didn't you sleep properly?" It was clearly just ordinary concern, as usual, but I could no longer detect any emotion in it. Indeed, a person only has one heart. When it's occupied by one, there's no room left for another. Before I could speak, Tessa Wu emerged slowly from behind Nox Shun, a smile playing at the corners of her lips. "Sister Margot, Nox insisted that I come stay at your place. Saying there's no one to take care of me now. You don't mind, do you?" My brows furrowed as I turned to look at Nox Shun, who avoided my gaze and remained silent. Even the dimmest person could discern the underlying meaning in Tessa Wu's words. She's showing off, flaunting that Nox Shun would go so far as to make me angry for her sake, and if I refuse, I'm the one being unreasonable and cold-hearted. I feel disgusted, not because of their sweet affection, but because the house is mine. And Nox Shun brought an outsider in without my consent. I let out a cold laugh and retorted to Nox Shun, "Shouldn't you have said something to me first?" Nox Shun was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, instantly flying into a rage. "Margot Ren, can't you be a little less cold-hearted? Tessa has no one to take care of her now and almost died in the hospital. As her friend, shouldn't I help her? You're my wife. You should be a little kinder to my friends." In just a few words, Nox Shun positioned himself on the highest moral ground. In the past, I would have tolerated it because I loved him and always catered to his every need. I've already died once, and it was by the hands of the person I loved most. In this life, I refused to continue suffering in silence. I scoffed coldly. "You seem to have forgotten. This is my house. Everything you have is mine. I have OCD. I won't let outsiders live in my house. Nor would I allow the person I love to have someone else in their heart." Nox Shun froze, seemingly not expecting me to refuse him so firmly. For a moment, he could only stare at me. Tessa Wu immediately burst into tears, clutching Nox Shun's arm as she spoke. "I know I'm an unwanted person. My husband is in prison, my parents have cut ties with me, and I shouldn't drag you down. I'll leave now, so please don't argue because of me, okay?" The frost on Nox Shun's face instantly melted as he looked at Tessa Wu with heartache. He pulled Tessa Wu directly into the room, as if speaking for me to hear. "Don't worry, just stay here. This house is half mine too. I promise, even if the whole world abandons you, I won't." Nox Shun held Tessa Wu's hand like this. As they passed by me, Tessa Wu curled her lips smugly, raised an eyebrow at me, and mouthed the words to me, "Fool." How could a sudden infatuation compare to a mistress? I smiled indifferently. I didn't need Tessa Wu to tell me. I'd known this truth long ago. After settling Tessa Wu in, Nox Shun came downstairs and approached me, his tone suddenly softening. "Darling, You know Tessa has no one else to rely on but me now. Please don't be angry, okay? I'll take care of all the housework this month." As he spoke, Noxon reached out to grab my hand, but I dodged his touch by turning aside. Noxon's movement froze mid-air. I wanted to lose my temper, to demand why Noxon would treat me this way, why he would marry me when his heart clearly belonged to someone else. Why did you kill me in my past life? But the answers to some questions have long been clear. Anyway, I've already decided to quit. So let's keep it dignified. So I suppressed my rising anger and spoke calmly. "Keep an eye on your friend, just don't disturb my life." I emphasized the word friend heavily. Noxon had never been aware that I knew Tessa Wu was his mistress, or perhaps he had already sensed it but was simply deceiving himself. Noxon still wanted to say something, but I had already put on my coat and was about to leave. "Today, I am going to abort the child in my womb. It's unfair for this child to live in a family full of lies." As I lay on the operating table, the coldness pressing against my back reminded me of my tragic death in my previous life. I had also been lying on such a cold operating table then. The light above was so blinding I couldn't open my eyes, yet I still vividly remember the venomous look in Noxon's eyes. Under the effect of the anesthesia, I still lost consciousness. "I'm sorry, child. In my past life, I couldn't bring you into this world, and in this life, I still can't. Forgive your mother's selfishness. I can't let you be born into a family without a father's love, nor can I self-righteously believe a child from a single-parent family could be happy." When the nurse woke me, my head was still groggy, and I even felt the emptiness in my lower abdomen, as if a piece of my heart had been carved out. I returned home with pale lips and was greeted by the aroma of food as soon as I entered. Noxon was cooking attentively in the kitchen, while Tessa Wu sat at the island counter with her chin propped in her hands. If this weren't my home, the two of them would truly look like a loving couple. The person who once promised to cook only for me can now do so for others as well. Noxon probably heard the door and turned to look at me. I gave a cold glance at the chicken feathers in the trash can and couldn't help but vomit. I'm terrified of sharp-beaked birds. Just seeing feathers gives me small red rashes, and I never eat poultry. Noxon knows this too. Our dining table has never had such things. But for Tessa Wu, Noxon could disregard everything about me. Noxon followed my gaze to the chicken feathers that hadn't been thrown away yet and offered a guilty explanation. "Tessa is weak now and needs nourishment. I'll get things ready right away." I withdrew my gaze and responded indifferently. Just as I was about to return to my room to rest, Tessa Wu grabbed my hand and deliberately fell backward. The loud noise caught Noxon's attention. Tessa Wu burst into tears instantly, appearing fragile and aggrieved. She looked at me. "Sis Margot, I know I'm in your way here. If you just tell me to leave, I'll go. There's no need to push me out of anger." Noxon didn't even have time to wipe his hands before rushing over. He shoved me hard, and I fell to the ground. I felt a warm, wet fluid flowing from my lower body. When I looked down, my white pants were already stained red with blood. "Margot Wren, you knew Tessa just had surgery and is so weak, yet you still laid hands on her. Are you even human? I never imagined you could be such a vicious woman." I smiled bitterly. True disappointment isn't about making a scene. This moment gave that saying a concrete form. Tessa Wu just had surgery. And so did I. If Noxon had turned his gaze toward me, he would have noticed something was off. But he didn't. Never mind. Noxon picked up Tessa Wu with a pained expression. Glaring at me fiercely, "Reflect carefully on your actions. Once you've properly reflected, go to the hospital and apologize to Tessa. Think hard. Have I been too lenient with you all these years, spoiling you to the point where you've become lawless, lacking even the most basic empathy?" From an angle where Noxon couldn't see, Tessa Wu raised an eyebrow at me. I called out to Noxon, who was about to storm off. He stopped impatiently. "What else do you want? Will you only be satisfied when Tessa is dead?" I took the divorce agreement that the lawyer had just sent me out of my bag and handed it to Noxon. "Noxon, let's get divorced." Noxon froze. "What are you making a fuss about again? You're the one who did wrong. How can you say you want a divorce with such confidence?" I sneered, tilting my chin toward the surveillance camera. "If you have eyes, go check the footage. I don't believe you can't see through such a clumsy trick." Don't assume everyone else is as foolish as you are. Tessa Wu's face instantly paled. She probably never expected our house to have surveillance. Knox, don't blame Margot. She didn't mean it just now. Please put me down. I'm fine, just moments ago. Tessa Wu was crying and demanding that Noxtion stand up for her. But now she was in a hurry to smooth things over. Noxtion could clearly see the reason behind this, and the look he gave me instantly softened. It's all a misunderstanding. Not worth going as far as divorce. Honey, you know Tessa just lost her child and isn't in a stable emotional state. Please be understanding. I never expected that even with the facts right before his eyes, Noxtion could still find an excuse for Tessa Wu. The feelings I once had for Noxtion were truly laughable. I said indifferently, she lost a child, and I lost a child too, so if my emotions are unstable, shouldn't you all understand? Upon hearing this news, Noxtion lost control of his emotions. He abandoned Tessa Wu, rushed over, and gripped my arm tightly, frantically demanding answers. What have you done to our child? I lowered my head to look at the bloodstains that had already dried on my pants. Noxtion followed my gaze, his eyes dark and unreadable. I quickly added, it's not your fault. I already had an abortion. Your push just made the wound reopen. That's all. I'm not the kind of person who casually pins blame on others. Noxtion frowned. Why? I don't understand why Noxtion is feeling so sorrowful now. In the previous life, he didn't care about our child at all. Even when it was a girl about to be born, he didn't even glance at her corpse. Now, it's only been 2 months. What could Noxtion possibly be reluctant to part with? Perhaps he had been acting for so long that even he started to believe it himself. I only felt a sense of irony as I handed the divorce papers back to Noxtion. Because I want a divorce, I won't let my child have a father who can't stay faithful. Since you two are so deeply in love, can't I just step aside and let you be happy? Noxtion stood frozen in place, speechless for a long while Tessa Wu, seeing the situation, immediately went up and wrapped her arm around his. Knox, since Margot is willing to let us be together, just sign the papers. Now that you have everything, you can fulfill your original promise. Tessa Wu's scheming was so obvious it practically slapped me in the face. While Noxtion was still hesitating, Tessa Wu directly handed him the pen and guided his hand to sign. The whole sequence was so smooth that Noxtion didn't even have time to react. This counts as the second time I've expressed gratitude to Tessa Wu. The first time was Tessa Wu's death, which allowed me to see Noxtion's true nature. The second time was because of her involvement, enabling me to smoothly finalize the divorce. Tessa Wu handed the divorce papers to me, smiling triumphantly. Sister Margot, do you need me to help you pack your things? After all, you're already divorced, and it's not appropriate for you to continue living here, at this moment. Tessa Wu already sees herself as the mistress of this villa. I unhurriedly placed the divorce agreement into my bag and smiled faintly. I think Miss Wu might not be aware yet. Everything from my Ren family is premarital property between me and Noxtion, including this villa. If there's anything that belongs to Noxtion, it's probably that beat-up car in the garage. After I finished speaking, I watched Tessa Wu's face gradually darken. I have my father to thank for this. He was the one who told me not to hand over everything from the Ren family to outsiders. I had a prenuptial agreement before marriage. After the divorce, Noxtion won't get a single penny. Even this villa is registered under my name. Seeing Tessa Wu remain silent, I asked in return, do you need me to help you pack? Tessa Wu stomped her feet in anger and nudged Noxtion. Nox, say something. You've been with Margot Ren for so many years. How could you end up with nothing? It was probably Tessa Wu's words that snapped Noxtion out of his thoughts. His vision cleared, and he abruptly shook off Tessa Wu's hand. Shut the hell up. Tessa Wu was startled by Noxtion, whose eyes were red at the corners as he glared at her. Darling, why must we get a divorce? Is it just because I pushed you earlier? Or are you upset that I brought another woman home? I apologize. I was too hasty just now. If it bothers you, I can send her away. Okay, please don't leave me. Noxtion's voice was choked with sobs, but I couldn't tell if he was sincere. Perhaps Noxtion just saw Tessa Wu's true colors moments ago. Indeed, having worked under my father for so many years, Noxtion has long become a shrewd man. If Tessa Wu truly couldn't let go of Nox Shin, she wouldn't have gotten married and had children, nor would she have turned hostile upon learning Nox Shin wouldn't get a single cent. So even when his mistress was alive, Nox Shin could still be reluctant to part with the woman by his side. Was it really me he couldn't bear to part with, our child, or the power and influence I brought him? I lazily lifted my eyes and smiled faintly. It was you who abandoned me and the child first. Even though I knew Nox Shin wouldn't understand the meaning of my words, it still felt like venting the grievances from my past life. When Nox Shin moved out, I was already asleep. Whether in these past 2 days or in my previous life, I always felt exhausted. In my dream, a soft, chubby child ran to my side. She took my hand, and as I crouched down, she stood on tiptoe to pat my head, speaking to me in a sweet, childish voice. "Mommy, thank you." I didn't know what she was thanking me for, when I had clearly stripped her of her right to be human. When I woke up, the pillow beside me was already soaked. The empty villa no longer carried the scent of Nox Shin. All his belongings had been moved out, even if he had been unwilling. I had plenty of means to make him leave. Nox Shin was smart and knew me well. He understood that once I made a decision, I wouldn't change it, rather than being thrown out by bodyguards. It was far more dignified for Nox Shin to leave on his own, unexpectedly. Without Nox Shin, I didn't feel the slightest bit of discomfort. Indeed, one should give up on someone they knew from the start wouldn't last. It's a pity that in my past life, I was too stubborn, clinging to that tiny bit of false affection as if it were honey. After recovering at home, I went to the company and began taking over all responsibilities. With Nox Shin around before, I was content to stay idle. Being a manager isn't easy, and I even had to start learning from the basics, working late into the night every day. Yet, I felt an unprecedented sense of fulfillment. A month later, I dragged my exhausted body downstairs, only to see Nox Shin standing under the streetlight by the company building, his shadow stretching long and slender. During that month, Nox Shin had also tried to contact me, but I had blocked him. Mutual friends mentioned that Nox Shin had been in a car accident, sustaining only minor scrapes but also a slight concussion. I didn't show much concern, merely asking a friend to deliver a fruit basket on my behalf. Consider this as a token of gratitude for Nox Shin's dedicated efforts in managing the company for me over these years. When I saw Nox Shin again, his hair seemed a bit longer, and his eyes were filled with exhaustion. I initially intended to ignore him and walk past, but Nox Shin ran over and grabbed my wrist, his eyes reflecting emotions I couldn't decipher: guilt, regret, and affection. At this thought, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. How could Nox Shin possibly love me? "Mr. Shin, please mind your behavior in public." I unceremoniously shook off Nox Shin's hand and spoke sternly. Nox Shin stood awkwardly before me, yet his gaze remained fixed on me. "You've come back too, haven't you?" This sentence was like dropping a bomb into a calm lake, instantly sending ripples through my previously undisturbed heart. I didn't seek revenge on Nox Shin, simply because it was the Nox Shin from my past life who did those things. I couldn't unjustly do something to him without reason, but the Nox Shin before me now has reignited my overwhelming hatred for him. I stared straight at him like this, even without looking in a mirror. I knew exactly how terrifying my gaze must have been. Nox Shin seemed to confirm his suspicions from my expression, offering a bitter smile. "I'm sorry. Just a simple sorry could make up for all the suffering I endured in my past life." In Nox Shin's mind, I must be so easy to appease. I scoffed with disdain. Nox Shin's eyes were filled with desolation. "Finally, I understand what you meant by those words on the day of our divorce. It was my fault. I failed you and our child." "Very well, since everything is known, I won't hide anything anymore. Mr. Shin has now achieved his wish to be with his mistress, so please don't disturb me anymore. Since you know why I hate you so much, you should know better. We have no relationship now, and no one will stop you from being with Tessa Wu. Let's keep things civil between us." Sometimes I resent my own kindness and soft-heartedness. I could have ruined Nox Shin, but now I just want to stay away from him. After all, Nox Shin isn't worth me taking a life. Nox Shin's thin lips moved slightly as he slowly took a step forward, raising his hand to try and grasp mine, his face full of hesitation. I took a step back, finding it all rather amusing. What, are you trying to make Tessa Wu misunderstand? Nokshin's hand stopped. His voice hoarse. I wasn't with Tessa Wu, you know, since you died. I haven't had a single peaceful night's sleep. I thought I hated you. But slowly I came to realize that the person I've always loved was you. Please give me a chance to make it up to you. Okay, I didn't know much about what happened after my death in my previous life, but seeing Nokshin's seemingly deep affection only made me feel disgusted. My eyes are icy cold. The only reason you're still standing here unharmed isn't because I still have lingering feelings for you. It's because I chose to show mercy. I refuse to become someone like you. But if you continue to cause me trouble, I won't hesitate to make you experience the same pain I've endured. Nokshin wanted to say more, but one look from me made him retreat. I turned and walked away. Belated affection is cheaper than grass. Actually, I had already learned from mutual friends that Tessa Wu's initial decision wasn't driven by the mentality of as long as it's not Nokshin, marrying anyone would be the same. Tessa Wu had always liked that man. But she wanted to keep an escape route for herself, which is why she said those things to Nokshin, making him think she married out of despair. Indeed, anyone with a brain should realize that Tessa Wu could have remained single and waited for Nokshin indefinitely. Why would she marry and have children with someone she didn't love? After Nokshin and I divorced, Tessa Wu refused to believe that Nokshin didn't get a single cent from the settlement and clung to him constantly. Even the car accident happened because of a sudden argument between the two while they were in the car. Tessa Wu pressured Nokshin to demand his share of the property from me. But when he refused, she threw a tantrum and even grabbed the steering wheel. The car lost control and crashed into a utility pole. Although Nokshin injured his brain, his mind became clearer. Perhaps that gentle and dazzling mistress had, in an instant, turned into something detestable in his previous life. Nokshin couldn't forget Tessa Wu simply because she died in his heart during her most beautiful years. I got into the car and saw Tessa Wu running angrily toward Nokshin in the rearview mirror. The two were talking about something, and based on Tessa Wu's lip movements, I caught some fragmented bits of their conversation. What's this about a dog can't stop eating shit? Eyeing the pot while eating from the bowl. What's this about am I not your favorite woman? Why are you looking for Margot Ren? Nokshin's eyes were filled with exhaustion and disgust. Yes, Nokshin has always been this kind of person. When he had me, he was thinking of Tessa Wu. Now that I've stepped aside for them, he comes crawling back to me. Nokshin shook off Tessa Wu and simply said, I never agreed to be with you. Don't follow me anymore in the future. Tessa Wu was furious with humiliation. You think I care about being with you? Back then, you were just a poor loser. If it weren't for the Ren family's wealth, who would even look at you? Tessa Wu finally spoke her mind. I thought Nokshin would be upset, but instead, he smiled with relief. Yeah, without Margot Ren, I'm just a dog. Are you satisfied now? Can you get lost? In the end, Tessa Wu left in anger, and with the show over, I stepped on the gas and drove away. In the rearview mirror, Nokshin was staring intently at my car. To say that Nokshin came to see me just now, I wasn't sure if he truly regretted it, but at this moment, I can confirm that he genuinely does. For the sake of a shrew, he gave up a wife like me, wealthy, beautiful, and talented. Isn't this exactly what Nokshin wanted? I thought Nokshin was a dignified person and would no longer have any interaction with me. Unexpectedly, during the company's interview period, as I waited as the interviewer for the next candidate to arrive, the moment the door opened, I saw Nokshin. Nokshin looked refreshed, clearly having dressed up meticulously for this interview. Everyone present knew Nokshin. Once the general manager, now reduced to an intern, everyone exchanged glances, carefully observing my reaction. Meanwhile, I didn't shy away from Nokshin's intense gaze. After asking a few official questions, I put down my pen and looked up at Nokshin. What makes you think you have an advantage over those younger candidates? Nokshin spoke with confidence. I've worked here for 5 years and served as general manager for 3. No one understands the company's development trajectory better than I do. Only I can truly help you. Nokshin was so confident that the entire room fell silent. I just curled my lips slightly and spoke unhurriedly. The company has long since moved on. What I need now is fresh, vibrant blood. Your era is already over, not just the company, but also the feelings we once had. I wanted to make it clear to Nok-shun that I've started a new life and won't dwell on past pain anymore. Nok-shun's expression told me that he understood my underlying meaning, and for a moment, he didn't know what to say. I continued speaking. Sorry, Mr. Shun doesn't seem to meet our company's hiring standards. Next, please. Wait. Nok-shun stopped me and looked at the two interviewers beside me. You two step out for a moment. I need to have a word with your CEO Ren. The two interviewers hesitated, glancing at me awkwardly. I couldn't even be bothered to lift my eyelids. It seems there's nothing left for me to discuss with Mr. Shun. We're currently working, so if there's nothing important, please don't disturb us any further. Nok-shun grew anxious. He stood up and placed both hands on my desk. Margot, I admit I was wrong, truly wrong. Just let me stay by your side. I'll do anything. I can't live without you. The two interviewers beside us covered their faces with their notebooks. Clearly, the current situation isn't suitable for them to stay, but since I haven't spoken up, they have no choice but to tough it out and remain present. The interview office was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I could even hear Nok-shun's erratic heartbeat. In the past, I gave Nok-shun countless opportunities. I showered him with love, power, money, even to the point where I never lived a single day as my true self. In my final moments of the previous life, all I wanted was for Nok-shun to save me. Nok-shun's indifference took me by surprise, making me realize I was a complete fool. Nok-shun's gaze was fixed intently on me, his trembling hands betraying the tension within him. His eyes flickered with emotion, as if pleading, as if hoping. I slowly curled my lips and uttered the most terrifying words in the calmest tone. Then go die. As soon as the words fell, Nok-shun seemed to lose all strength, his previously straight posture collapsing. I don't know what state of mind Nok-shun was in when he walked out. He only left behind one sentence: if my death can atone for the wrongs I've done to you, then I'll do it. I didn't respond, merely calling the next interviewee as if nothing had happened. While I was interviewing the next person, before I could even ask the second question, commotion erupted outside. Someone jumped off the building. My brow twitched. Everyone around me rushed out. I leaned back in the chair, not looking at the tragic scene outside. Even without seeing it, I already knew the outcome. Suddenly, I remembered how at the wedding, Nok-shun had ignored the officiant's script and secretly kissed me. Perhaps Nok-shun truly liked me at one point. You really are, as always, so full of yourself. I sniffled and stood up. After all, I still needed to clean up the mess left behind. Nok-shun, we're even now.